one thing I wanted to ask, because I've seen it on your Instagram, I've seen it now in the publication. You are very good with an etch a sketch.
Yeah,
How
I
did
am.
that is not an easy skill. How did that happen?
Yeah, it's not. Well, I always liked to do things. I always tried to be able to do things that people couldn't do, right? Uh, because probably because a lot of the stuff that other people could do, I couldn't. So like like
Yeah.
I can't play hockey, but everybody else did, right? So it's like I wanted to know how to do something else, and so like I always played with it as a kid whenever I had access to one, but it was never something that I wanted to go out and buy.
Oh,
It
okay.
was actually when I was in school, when I was in college. There was Tim Hortons, and one day I was there uh, trying to get my medium double double just before class, and there was like a keychain etch a sketch that was on the table.
Oh,
That was
okay.
on one of the tables. So I looked at it. I got my coffee. And I was like, "There's anybody's right? There's anybody's right? There's anybody's right?" And the lady that was working at the Tim Hortons, she's like, "It's been there all day. Just take it if you want."
Love
So
it.
I took it. And then I just started messing around with it, and because it was small, it was easier. It was like easier to erase, and I started like
Hmm.
play. I just started playing in between classes because um, right, sometimes it's like okay, work's done, right?
You got time.
Work
Yeah,
done.
go
So so
for it.
so I just messed around with that, and when you get it's like driving stick. It takes a while to get used to the controls. One of the my main things is because like it's called an etch a sketch, right? It's not painting, right? Because sometimes like
Hmm.
when you work with like inks or paints, it's like if you make a line and then you mess it up, it's like ugh. You just go again, and that's how people feel with etch a sketch. But if you think about like if you're drawing with like a pen and you make a line that's a little off, and just make another line and another line and another line and another line,
Hmm.
and it goes over, and that's kind of how I've just been able to like go through and make it. And if anybody ever wants to uh, uh, like train their etch a sketch skills, I would say the best drill is to try to draw a circle. Like
Mm.
make it terrible, try to draw a circle, and whatever shape it ends up being, just try to trace it, and then try to trace it, and then try to trace it, and then try to trace it. And it doesn't matter if it's a circle or not. If you can trace the line that you see,
Oh, okay.
then you can create the line in your head, and then eventually get through it. And there's a lot of times, I guess it happens with a lot of things, is people will give up on it. Like people will give up on a piece of art too, right? Halfway through rendering, and it's it just looks off, so they just scrap it. If you just finish it and you just keep at it, like you can
Mm.
fix it. You can massage it in there. It's just it looks really terrible to start, right? If you can get past that and still continue doing it, and I know there's that feeling of why am I just gonna sit here and polish this turd, right? It's just not gonna do anything, right? Uh, but I do that. I and then just lately, one time there was an etch sketch on sale at Canadian Tire when I was just shopping, and I was like, oh, I'll get this for my kids,
Yeah.
right? And then I just started having fun with it. But what I felt when I started working on it and just kind of like putting it out there so people could see was one, it was it's something that kind of stuck out, right? Uh,
Yeah.
like you know, if I was to try to draw, like a Wolverine, right, as best as I could, any other Joe Schmo can draw Wolverine the same as I could draw this Wolverine. Um, but if I drew it on an etch a sketch, even if it wasn't as good, the fact that it's on an etch a sketch, it makes people be like, "Wait, that's different. That's weird." And I want to know that I can, like, I want to be able to have my other art to have a certain to be regarded on a certain level.
Hmm.
I'd like to be known for a lot of different things, but the, that's one of them, and it's been a really good exercise in not being so precious with your work. Like before finishing Troop 44, I started a lot of things. And it I never was able to put the end on anything. Right?
Yep.
I would just draw it, get excited to this middle part of the story, and then I don't know how to end it in the shoebox. Stays in the sketchbook. Yeah. It gets thrown out because I don't want to have to see that I had something unfinished, right? Because I was too precious with it, thinking that the first thing that I write is going to be this masterpiece. Right? It's like
the pursuit of perfection.
Yeah, it was like, and all it ended up doing was just held me back, right? But doing the Etch-a-Sketch, which was like, right, doing as best as I can in that time, but in the end, it's not going to stay. Shake it up and then go to the next one.
Yep.
So, and the more that I read about the artists that I admire, it was they would just get it done, right?
Yep.
Jack Kirby, right? Jack Kirby, of course. Everybody likes Jack Kirby, but it's not like he didn't sit there and toil over something that maybe didn't have, like, this wasn't the perfect figure, right? Like he's drawn a bunch of messed up stuff, like where he's wrong, but he's like, next one,
you gotta keep moving.
Next one, right? It's right if you're running and you trip, you're not going to sit there and wonder what and just hate yourself because you trip. No, you just go with it and you just keep running, right?
And moving, yeah.
That mentality of, like, when you read stories about like manga artists, they have to draw like 17, 18 pages a week, and this is after getting the script.
Yeah, exactly.
So when I realized, like, oh, I'm not trying to work myself to death like that, but there's a certain speed that you can develop when you care less. And I'm not saying you purposely make a bad picture, but it's okay if you make a bad picture, right?
Yeah.
In the practice of reading it well, right? I had to take it back again. I take it back to Tae Kwon Do, and it's right. It's usually it's 10,000 to master something. 10,000 repetitions of something to master, or 10,000 hours to master something. But like to get okay, it's like just do 1,000. That was always my thing. It's like, if you do 1,000 of something, you'll be okay. You do that 1,000 10 times, then you'll get really good, right? Then you'll get really good. So I was like, I just gotta get through 1,000, right? Yeah. So I've made a conscious note to myself artistically that until I have 1,000 pages, I'm not gonna go back and I'm not gonna judge myself. I'm gonna wait until I have 1,000 pages of whatever. And I've left that interpretation to what 1,000 pages is really, really open, right? Because so I can celebrate each 1,000. So like if it's 1,000 pages in my sketchbook, if there's 1,000 pages in my sketchbook, yay!
Wow.
If it's 1,000 pages published, yay! If it's just 1,000 pictures, 1,000 pieces of art that I've made, yay! Before I can think about whether I'm good or not, or where that go, I'm gonna have to get through 1,000 first, right? I'm gonna have to get through 1,000 first, and I'm about right. I'm over a quarter way through. Right? I'm over a quarter way through. I plan on cracking 1,000 within the next 2 years. I said it now. Now it's gonna have to happen.
There you go. It's on video now.
Yeah, I don't like lying, really. So, but yeah, I do that.
That is shockingly and amazingly very to the point, but also kind, and yet somehow very hard. So, and I know that's a lot of sort of jumbled, but I say it's kind because you're giving yourself plenty of working room, right? You said like 1,000 pages, 1,000 drawings, 1,000 of whatever before you go back and critique it and go, is this actually good? that gives you so much legroom to develop your skills, and I think that that is perfect,
Mm-hmm.
because one thing I've done while just doing my show and all the iterations that have come out of it, and if anyone out there just goes to my library and scrolls through, you will see just through the icons how much my stuff has changed over
Mm-hmm.
2 years I've been doing this 80 some odd videos.
Mm-hmm.
uh, Trying to be perfect will kill whatever you're trying to do,
Oh yeah.
especially if it's art.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think if anyone watching this takes that as like the only thing they take out of this whole interview, that's amazing, because it will give anyone, whether it's drawing, whether it's martial arts, learning math, learning how to drive, bake, whatever. If you give yourself 1,000 of that thing, get in a car 1,000 times, draw 1,000 times, whatever, by the time you've done that, you will be good at it in some
You'll,
aspect at least. I think that's
yeah.
amazing.
You'll be better, and that's it comes with Taekwondo too. When you sit and focus on perfect performances, right? Rather than just like each moment. If you think about each moment and you just go through each moment, usually that's when people get in the zone of something and they do really good. But when they think about, oh, and I'm guilty of this too, of just, oh, this is world championships. I have to be perfect. I have to do this. And it's so much pressure. And then that's when you choke, right?
Yep.
And that's when you choke. And right, the lesson of the pressures that you put on yourself, to choke or to not choke. That's right. That's me doing art. That's me doing taekwondo. You know, uh, this part, you can, like, as much as it took me to create and try to put out a book and say, here, come, like, making it was one thing, but try to sell it online, it's another thing. to
Yeah.
to sit and have an interview and to talk about it, this is still new. I haven't done 1,000 of these, right? I haven't done 1,000 of these. I haven't done 10 of these, right? But
Mm.
uh, hopefully, like, I'll, we get better. And I think this is an important part of, I, I think it's an important part of the craft when you're being an artist or you're being a cartoonist, is you have to advocate for yourself. If you don't, right, no one will, right? No one
Mm-hmm.
will. Like, I don't think, for like, no one, Chris isn't gonna say, hey, buy Troop 44, not Omega Squad, just buy this guy's stuff. No, like, right? We can do it together, sure, that's fine, but it's, he's got to look out for his stuff and promote his stuff, right? Right. Same thing with me. So that's what I'm doing. And uh, you have to be, I think, to be successful in art, like I have any experience, but in my head is, you have to be equal parts Jack Kirby and Stan Lee, right? Right. Stan gets a lot of flack because he didn't draw anything, right? He didn't draw anything. He slapped his name on a lot of stuff, but man, was he out there just banging the drum, pumping
Yep.
out there. Look at this! Look at this! Look at this! Look at this! Right? Right. With Jack Kirby, he made all the art, made anything, but he didn't get it. He didn't get anything because he didn't ask for anything.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Closed mouth don't get fed. So
Nice.
we're this is there's a balance that you have to do it without looking slimy. And in Taekwondo, that was the hardest thing for me, because I knew the quality of the product that I made. I knew the quality that I had, that the school had. I knew the quality of the students that would come out of that school. I put my life on that. I put my
Mm-hmm.
life on that, easy. But to promote it, I there was a big part of me that had to kind of separate that and not feel gross, and know that it's okay to promote, because, like, you got to put dinner on the table, and, like, we got to keep the lights on, and we got to do all these things. And that's why the after school program started. That's why this happened, was because
Yeah.
it was the way that I could promote without feeling gross, you know I could tout about my accomplishments or my rank or what I've done, but then I don't want it. I didn't want it to be about me, right? I want it to be about the program. What can it do for you, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what it did, and I think just throwing this out there kind of separated myself from the whole situation, right?
Yeah.
It kind of separated myself from the whole situation, but at the same time, it put me deeper in. So I don't know how good that worked. But yeah, so it's, I think it's just an amazing thing.